Christmas isn't always joy and peace. For some, it's a season of mind-boggling entitlement. Today, we're covering 55 of the absolute dumbest holiday complaints, from tourists suing over a lack of snow to people calling the cops on their own presents. These stories are guaranteed to make you question reality. But before we get to the madness, I have to know, what is the absolute dumbest Christmas complaint you have ever heard in real life? Write it in the comments right now, and let's get started. 1. A customer at a holiday pop-up bar asked to speak to the manager regarding the mistletoe hanging above the doorway. He was upset because he had been standing under it for 45 minutes, and no women had stopped to kiss him. He argued that the bar was liable for false advertising because the decoration implied a guaranteed romantic outcome. He actually wanted the manager to force other patrons to participate in the tradition. Seriously, imagine being that desperate and entitled. 2. A mother in Chicago complained to mall management that the Santa Claus had a real beard. She said it was unsanitary and gross compared to the pristine, fake white beards she was used to. She was worried about what kind of food crumbs or bugs might be living in there. She demanded that Santa shave his actual face and put on a synthetic polyester beard for the safety of the children. 3. Some people are just impossible to please, aren't they? One woman in a viral online post complained that her husband bought her a brand new Lexus for Christmas, but she was furious because it was the base model. She said his lack of effort to get the fully loaded version with the premium sound system showed he clearly didn't know her at all and had ruined the magic of Christmas. Seriously, what's the correct response to that without immediately calling a divorce lawyer? 4. Advent calendars are designed to teach patience, one chocolate at a time. But one mother stormed into a grocery store demanding her money back for a defective calendar. Her son had opened all 24 doors and eaten every single chocolate within 10 minutes of getting it. She blamed the manufacturer for not putting child-proof locks on the little cardboard doors. Would you blame the chocolate company for this? Or maybe just accept that your kid really loves sugar? 5. Technology can be confusing, but this takes the cake. A cable company received a service ticket from an elderly viewer regarding the Yule log channel, which is just a video of a fireplace burning on TV. The customer complained that the channel was defective because even after leaving the TV on for 3 hours, their living room wasn't getting any warmer. They honestly believed the video of the fire was supposed to transmit physical heat through the screen. 6. Imagine checking into your 5-star hotel, seeing a magnificent life-size gingerbread house in the lobby, and your first thought is to complain. A guest did just that, lodging a formal grievance that the decorative gingerbread house was not gluten-free. They hadn't tried to eat it, but were upset on principle, stating that the hotel was being exclusionary by creating a beautiful display that a person with celiac disease hypothetically could not snack on if they decided to commit an act of vandalism. 7. During a Christmas Eve service, a woman complained to the church usher that the baby playing Jesus in the live Nativity scene wasn't crying realistically enough. She felt his peaceful gurgling was inauthentic for a newborn in a drafty manger surrounded by livestock. She suggested they should have pinched the baby, gently of course, to elicit a more emotionally resonant performance for the congregation. Yes, she wanted them to make the baby Jesus cry for the sake of art. 8. A resident in Ohio called the non-emergency police line to report their neighbor's inflatable snowman. The complaint wasn't about its size or location. The caller claimed the snowman's fixed black-painted smile and coal eyes were staring menacingly into their kitchen window. They insisted the snowman's unblinking judgmental gaze was causing them psychological distress and asked if an officer could force their neighbor to deflate it after 9 p.m. At what point do you think the dispatcher just muted the call to laugh? 9. A 36-year-old man in Germany actually called the police on Christmas Eve to report a crime committed by his own mother. The crime? She bought him the wrong video game console. He felt that receiving a different model than the one he asked for constituted fraud and mental abuse. The officers who arrived at the scene didn't arrest the mother, but they probably had a hard time not laughing in the grown man's face while explaining that getting a bad gift isn't a felony. 10. An airline passenger filed a formal complaint against a pilot for wishing everyone Merry Christmas over the intercom upon landing on Christmas Day. The passenger wrote that the pilot's greeting was unprofessional and overly specific, and that it failed to acknowledge the diverse range of other holidays. They argued that a more appropriate and inclusive sign-off would have been Happy Holidays. 11. A parent at a holiday petting zoo in Michigan demanded their money back because the live reindeer exhibit was a scam. Their reasoning was that the reindeer were just standing around eating hay instead of flying. The parent insisted that if the zoo advertises real Christmas reindeer, the animals should at least hover a few inches off the ground or have glowing red noses. They actually accused the zoo of gluing antlers onto ponies to trick people. How do you even explain gravity to someone like that? 12. You know the elf on the shelf? The whole point is that parents move it at night to trick their kids. Well, one angry mother wrote a furious email to the manufacturer claiming her doll was defective. She said she left it on the mantelpiece for 3 days and it never moved an inch on its own. She was genuinely convinced the $20 doll contained advanced robotics or magic. She demanded a replacement elf that actually does its job and watches the kids while she sleeps. 13. A neighborhood in the United Kingdom actually banned a group of carol singers after a resident complained they were singing with malicious intent. The homeowner claimed the singers were too loud, too cheerful, and their harmonies were show-offy. Apparently, the high quality of their singing made the resident feel insecure about their own lack of holiday spirit. The complaint stated that the carolers were aggressively festive and constituted a noise violation, even though it was only 6 in the evening. 14. We all know Dasher, Dancer, and Prancer, but did you know about biology? A man wrote an angry letter to a local paper after seeing a depiction of Santa's reindeer. He was upset that the reindeer still had their antlers. He argued that male reindeer lose their antlers in winter, so Santa's sleigh team must be female. He called this a historically inaccurate woke agenda and demanded they be drawn as hornless males to restore masculinity to Christmas. 15. Family drama is a staple of the holidays, but this is next level. A woman cut off contact with her sister because she was excluded from the family Christmas card photo. The catch? The photo was of the sister, her husband, and their new baby. The woman argued that as the favorite aunt, she was an essential part of the family unit, and her exclusion was a public snub. She demanded they recall all 200 mailed cards and reprint them with her Photoshopped in. 16. Corporate secret Santa exchanges are a minefield. An HR department received a formal bullying complaint from an employee who received a $25 Starbucks gift card. The spending limit for the exchange was exactly $25. The employee claimed the gift was impersonal and showed a lack of creative investment in their professional relationship. They argued that their coworker should have spent their own extra money to buy something more meaningful, effectively complaining that the rules were followed too perfectly. 17. A guest at a luxury hotel in Aspen filed a formal complaint because the snow outside was too cold and excessively white, which they claimed was ruining the aesthetics of their Instagram photos. They suggested the hotel should find a way to warm the snow, or perhaps use a filter on the windows to make it look more like the soft, fluffy snow seen in movies. They also complained that the act of shivering was undignified for someone paying their rates. 18. A customer returned a decorative snow globe to a gift shop because the snow inside didn't melt when she put it near the fireplace. She thought the white flakes were actual frozen water trapped inside the glass. When the clerk explained it was plastic and glitter, the woman got angry and said selling fake winter products was deceptive. She was trying to create a scientific learning moment for her kids, and the globe ruined the experiment. 19. A guest at a Christmas dinner party called the host the next day to complain about the menu. The issue wasn't that the food was bad. The problem was that the host served ham instead of turkey. The guest claimed that ham is an Easter meat, and serving it in December was confusing to their digestion and ruined the integrity of the holiday meal. They suggested the host reimburse them for the takeout turkey sandwich they had to buy later that night. Would you ever invite this person back? 20. A grandmother complained that the wrapping paper her daughter used for the grandkids' gifts was too shiny. She claimed that the high-gloss metallic finish reflected the Christmas tree lights too intensely, causing a glare that made it difficult to read the name tags. She said it was a safety hazard that could cause temporary blindness, and insisted that next year, everyone must use matte finish paper only to protect everyone's eyesight. 21. Buying a real tree too early is a rookie mistake, but one customer didn't see it that way. They purchased a live pine tree on November 1st, then returned to the store on Christmas Eve screaming for a refund. Their complaint was that the tree was dead, brown, and ugly for their morning photos. They refused to believe that a cut tree needs water and doesn't naturally survive inside a heated living room for 2 months. They actually accused the store of selling them a time bomb tree designed to fail. 22. Gift returns really bring out the greed in people. A woman went to a store to return a sweater she received as a present. The price tag on the sweater said $100, but the person who gave it to her had bought it on a huge sale for only $50. When the clerk offered her the $50 refund, the woman went ballistic. She seriously argued that she was being robbed of the difference. She genuinely believed the store owed her the full retail price, essentially demanding a $50 profit on a gift she never spent a single dime on. 23. NORAD's Santa Tracker is a fun tradition where the military pretends to track Santa's sleigh on radar. However, one concerned parent actually called the Air Force to file a complaint. They were upset that the tracker showed Santa flying over countries with questionable political regimes. The parent argued that Santa shouldn't be seen visiting bad countries because it was sending the wrong geopolitical message to their 6-year-old. Imagine thinking Santa Claus needs to follow U.S. foreign policy. 24. Radio stations love playing holiday hits, but there is a limit. In a small town, a woman called 911, yes, the emergency line, to complain about a local radio station. Her emergency? They had played Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You twice in 1 hour. She told the dispatcher it was torture and requested an officer go to the station to make them stop. Is it even really Christmas until you're absolutely sick of that song, or was this woman a hero? 25. During the day, those giant inflatable lawn decorations just look like piles of sad melted plastic on the grass. One neighbor found this unbearable and filed a formal nuisance complaint with the city. They claimed the deflated Santa Claus on the lawn next door looked like a crime scene body and was traumatizing their dog. They demanded the neighbor either keep the Santa inflated 24/7 or remove it entirely, because seeing a flat Santa was ruining their property value vibe. 26. Most people enjoy a nativity play for the cute kids in costumes, but one dad took it way too seriously. He interrupted a church rehearsal to complain that the 3 wise men were carrying cardboard boxes covered in foil. He argued that it was disrespectful to history and demanded the church use real gold, frankincense, and myrrh. When told that real gold is expensive, he suggested they start a fundraiser because looking at cardboard props was insulting to his intelligence. 27. Dieting usually starts in January, but not for everyone. A bakery received a furious email from a customer who had purchased a box of festive Santa's Belly donuts. The customer was threatening legal action because they gained 5 pounds over the holidays. They claimed the bakery failed to put a warning label on the box, stating that eating 12 donuts in 2 days could lead to weight gain. They seriously thought holiday calories don't count was a scientific fact, not just a funny saying. 28. Booking a trip to see the northern lights in Lapland sounds magical until nature doesn't cooperate. A travel agency received a scathing review from a couple who demanded a full refund for their Arctic Christmas vacation. Their complaint? The northern lights didn't turn on. They accused the tour operator of lazy scheduling and asked why they didn't just switch on the lights for the tourists since they paid good money to see them. 29. Wrapping presents is an art form, but apparently, doing it too well is a crime. A store that offered a charity gift wrapping service received a complaint from a mother on the day after Christmas. She was angry because the volunteers used industrial-strength tape. She claimed her 3-year-old son couldn't rip the paper off easily and started crying from frustration. She wanted the charity to apologize for making the wrapping paper too secure and ruining the unboxing experience. 30. Those Salvation Army bell ringers are a classic sight outside stores, but one shopper found them personally offensive. He complained to the store manager that the ringing bell was triggering his tinnitus and ruining his concentration while choosing gifts. He demanded the charity volunteer stop ringing the bell immediately. When the volunteer refused, the man suggested they should switch to a silent flashing strobe light instead, which definitely wouldn't be annoying at all, right? 31. Ugly Christmas sweater parties are a huge holiday tradition where people compete to wear the most hideous outfit possible. Yet, one man missed the point entirely. He purchased a sweater explicitly labeled the world's ugliest Christmas sweater, and then tried to return it the next day. His reason? He claimed the sweater was too unattractive and that people at the party laughed at him, hurting his feelings. He literally paid for a joke and then got mad when the punchline landed. 32. The Butterball Turkey. Hotline is a real service where experts help people cook their holiday birds, and they hear some wild things. One operator reported a call from a panicked host on Christmas morning. The caller was furious that their turkey was still rock-hard frozen after being in the oven for 10 minutes. They genuinely thought the oven had a quick thaw setting that would instantly melt a 20-pound block of ice. Who tries to cook a frozen turkey without taking it out of the freezer days before? 33. Booking a tropical vacation to Florida or Hawaii usually means escaping the cold, right? Well, not for one disappointed tourist. She filed a complaint with her travel agent because it didn't snow on Christmas Day at her beach resort. She argued that since she paid a holiday premium price, the resort should have used snow machines to cover the beach in white powder for that authentic winter feel. She actually claimed the sunshine ruined her Christmas spirit. 34. Charities work tirelessly to give free toys to children in need, but some recipients are shockingly ungrateful. A volunteer at a toy drive was approached by a mother who had just received a free doll for her daughter. She wasn't there to say thank you. Instead, she demanded a gift receipt so she could return the free toy to Walmart and get cash instead. When the volunteer explained that wasn't how charity worked, the woman accused them of being cheap. 35. Retail employees want to get home to their families too, but some shoppers just don't respect business hours. A department store manager reported a man furiously banging on the glass doors at 6:05 p.m. on Christmas Eve, just 5 minutes after they locked up. Instead of going home, he actually called the police. He told the dispatcher that the store was holding his family's happiness hostage by refusing to let him in. He genuinely argued that closing on time was a criminal act simply because he hadn't bought his presents yet. 36. Eggnog is a polarizing drink. You either love it or hate it. But a customer at a grocery store returned a carton of premium eggnog with a very specific complaint. They were disgusted because the ingredients list included eggs. They claimed they were vegan and thought eggnog was just a catchy name, like hamburger doesn't have ham. They accused the store of trying to poison them with dairy products, despite the word egg being the first half of the product's name. 37. You're not going to believe this one. A homeowners association in Florida received a multi-page, typed complaint about a neighbor's Christmas light display. The issue wasn't that the lights were too bright or tacky. The problem was that the blinking lights were, and I'm quoting the official document, not rhythmically synchronized with the joyous spirit of the season. The complainant felt the erratic flashing was anarchic and promoted a feeling of holiday anxiety rather than peace and goodwill. 38. Glitter is the herpes of the craft world. Once you get it on you, it never goes away. However, a woman tried to sue a greeting card company because the glitter from a Christmas card got in her carpet. She claimed the migrating sparkle was a defect in the card's design and demanded the company pay for a professional carpet cleaning service. Is there anything more annoying than glitter that stays around until July? 39. A customer in Oregon demanded a full refund for their 7-foot Douglas fir because, and I quote, "it was shedding needles and smelled too strongly of pine." They argued that the overpowering pine scent was not adequately disclosed on the sales tag and was giving them non-festive headaches. The tree farm employee apparently just stood there for a solid minute, blinking, before explaining that's literally what pine trees do. It's their entire personality. The customer then threatened to report them for false advertising. 40. Taking down the tree is the saddest part of the season, but one tenant thought it was included in his rent. He dragged his dying, shedding pine tree into the hallway of his apartment building and left it there. When the landlord told him to move it to the dumpster, the tenant filed a complaint stating that waste removal was the building's job. He argued that since the tree was now trash, he shouldn't have to touch it and left it blocking his neighbor's door for a week. 41. You might think Home Alone is just a classic holiday movie, but one concerned parent saw it as a training video for criminals. She filed a complaint with her local TV station after they aired the movie during the day. She wasn't upset about the bad language. She was convinced the movie provided detailed instructions on how to harm burglars and would turn her children into violent trapmakers. She actually demanded the station air a public service announcement afterwards, telling kids not to throw bricks at people. 42. Outdoor Christmas markets are famous for freezing temperatures and steaming hot drinks. Yet, a vendor in Colorado was left speechless when a customer demanded a refund for her hot chocolate. The issue wasn't the taste. She complained that the drink was excessively hot, and that the steam fogged up her glasses, making it hard to see the lights. She suggested they should serve lukewarm chocolate instead to prevent eyewear condensation issues for the visually impaired. 43. I Saw a Mommy Kissing Santa Claus is a cute song about a kid who doesn't realize Santa is actually his dad in a costume. But one radio listener didn't get the joke. She called the station furiously, claiming the song promoted adultery and broken homes. She argued that playing a song about a woman cheating on her husband with a magical elf was disgusting and inappropriate for family listening. How do you go your whole life without understanding the plot twist of that song? 44. Ski resorts are covered in snow and ice. That is literally their entire business model. However, a guest at a lodge filed a formal injury report after slipping in the parking lot. She wasn't wearing boots, though. She was wearing 4-inch high heels. Her complaint stated that the resort was negligent for not heating the pavement to a dry, summer-like temperature so she could walk fashionably to her car. She genuinely blamed the mountain for being slippery in December. 45. Office parties can be awkward, but demanding a do-over is a new low. An employee was unhappy with the candle set she received during the company's Secret Santa exchange. She went to HR and filed a grievance, claiming the exchange was rigged because her desk neighbor got a Bluetooth speaker. She demanded the company force everyone to bring their gifts back the next day and redraw names so she could have a second chance at getting something better. 46. Homeowners. Associations are notorious for strict rules, but this complaint about holiday lights was bizarre. A resident received a citation not for having too many lights, but for the color. A neighbor complained that the resident's all-blue light display was historically inaccurate because blue wasn't a Christmas color. They argued that only red, green, and white were legally acceptable and that the blue lights made the street look like a nightclub district rather than a suburb. 47. In a mall in suburban New Jersey, a father complained to management that the mall Santa was a fraud. Why? Because when his 7-year-old son asked for a specific Hot Wheels Super Ultimate Garage playset, Santa didn't know the exact model number. The father argued that the real Santa would be an expert on toy logistics and inventory, and this man's ignorance shattered his son's belief. He demanded the mall hire a more professionally trained and knowledgeable Santa Claus. 48. We all love fast shipping, but one customer found a reason to hate it. He left a 1-star review for an online retailer because his package arrived 2 days early. He had planned to be home to hide the gift from his wife, but because it arrived early, she found the box on the porch and saw the label. He blamed the company for being too efficient and spoiling the surprise by exceeding their delivery promise. Is there any way to win with a customer like that? 49. Vegetarians have great alternatives for holiday meals now, like tofu turkeys. But a grocery store manager had to deal with a customer who bought a soy-based turkey roast and then returned it in a panic. The customer complained that the tofu block was molded into the shape of a real bird. She said looking at the fake drumsticks made her feel sympathetic phantom pains for the animal and demanded they sell tofu only in square blocks to avoid emotional trauma. 50. Calendars are pretty standard things, but one person apparently never learned how they work. A shopping mall received a comment card from a shopper who was annoyed that Christmas fell on a Tuesday that year. She complained that a midweek holiday was inconvenient for her work schedule and travel plans. She suggested that the mall management should petition the government to permanently move Christmas to the last Saturday of December to make it more user-friendly for everyone. 51. Winter days are naturally shorter, but one resident decided to take this up with their local government. They filed a formal petition with the city council demanding they push back the sunset to at least 6 p.m. They argued that the sun going down at 4:30 in the afternoon was depressing, and that the city was negligent for not using tax dollars to extend daylight hours. They genuinely believed the mayor had a dial on his desk to control the rotation of the Earth. 52. Geography is clearly not everyone's strong suit. A couple booked an expensive vacation to Christmas Island, expecting the ultimate North Pole experience with snow, elves, and reindeer. They filed a massive complaint with their travel agent upon returning because they didn't see a single snowflake. They were furious to discover that Christmas Island is actually an Australian territory in the Indian Ocean known for tropical heat and millions of migrating red crabs. They genuinely argued that an island named Christmas is legally obligated to be cold. 53. Teachers have a hard job, but one substitute faced a legal threat for telling the truth. A furious mother threatened to sue a school district for emotional distress after a teacher accidentally hinted that Santa Claus might not be real. The mother claimed the school had violated her parental right to deceive her child for a few more years. She actually demanded the school pay for a professional child therapist to undo the damage and restore her son's belief in flying reindeer. 54. Cartoons have given some people a very warped view of biology. A visitor at a famous zoo filed a cruelty complaint because the penguins were naked in the winter. They had seen holiday greeting cards where penguins wear red scarves and knit hats, so they assumed that was necessary for the animal's survival. They screamed at a zookeeper for forcing the birds to stand on the ice barefoot and demanded the staff knit sweaters for the entire colony immediately. 55. Get this. A tourist from Texas visiting New York City for the first time filed a complaint with the tourism board that the city's version of Christmas was highly inaccurate. Their primary evidence was that the horse-drawn carriage ride they took through Central Park didn't feature jingle bells as promised in the song, and nobody was dashing through the snow because there wasn't any. They demanded a partial refund for their trip due to the breach of classic holiday song promises. And that wraps up 55 of the most ridiculous, entitled, and brain-melting Christmas complaints ever recorded. After hearing about all these people who hated everything, let's cleanse the palate and focus on something you actually want. What is the one specific gift you would absolutely love to receive for Christmas this year? Whether it's a new car, a PS5, or just some peace and quiet, tell me your wish list in the comments below. If this video made you laugh, Hit that like button and subscribe right now for more insane stories. Thanks for watching.